Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Let's Get Together, a social club for seniors. And this program is being recorded for future viewing on our YouTube and other media channels. So if you do happen to be watching this video on YouTube, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all of our future video postings. But I do want to say a special thank you to AeroCares by Lockheed Martin employees, and also a special thank you to Hesta Stewart Christian Trust because they offered some grant funding for our program. So I'm Heather, your host for today, and we're going to explore a little program called Where in the World is Heather, talking about different places that I've traveled to. And we'll start the program with sharing some really broad clues on where I am. Not currently, but where I was. And then as the program rocks on, we'll get more and more specific clues and then unveil where I've actually traveled to, what my destination is. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen in just a moment so you can see my PowerPoint. Give me a second. Oh, I need to get to a different area. Just a sec. Little technical difficulty. Okay.
Okay.
I think I'm ready. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. Where in the world is Heather? Let's give this a whirl, shall we? Any guesses about where I am?
It's a little hard to give a guess right now.
No clues given.
Other than you're sitting in your car, that's the only guess we can have.
I'm sitting in my car just outside of TJ Maxx. I'm getting ready here in just a minute to run in, and I'm looking for one specific thing. Then I'm going to hustle out and head home and get all of my other stuff done.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like juggling a little bit, running some errands. All right, so let's see here. So my first clue about my destination, of course, I'm in the United States. I've only traveled outside of the United States one time, and I guess I could put that on there. Yeah, that would be good. I might do a program about that one. Anyway, so for this destination for today's program, I am in the United States, and I'm in a state where no dinosaur bones have ever been discovered. It is the area has a number of websites that promote it as being the most visited destination in the world. I don't really know if that's true, but I have heard a number of websites mention that, so it's probably one of the most visited destinations. I thought this was kind of a cool thing. I'm in an area where panthers are indigenous, and I'm in a state that's known as the fishing capital of the world. And I'm in a state that in Spanish, the name of the state means land of flowers. Any guesses about what state I'm in? Fishing capital of the world, land of flowers.
Well, I was going to say New Mexico, but I'm not sure.
Okay. I would almost think that people would guess like either a coastal state, or what is the state that's the land of 1,000 lakes?
Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah. Is there a lot of fishing in Minnesota because of all of the water?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep on going.
Okay.
What did you start to say?
No, keep going. That's what I was going to say.
Okay. So here are a couple of clues. Maybe these pictures might help some.
I know.
Is this a giveaway now?
Yep.
What state am I in?
Florida.
Florida. What part of it was the giveaway?
Well, your rate up says Tallahassee, capital's Tallahassee, but also the both pictures are pictures from places like I've been in Florida. Okay, the walkways on the along the beaches,
Hmm.
the kind of the ocean and the whatever big sky tower, whatever.
The tall buildings. They don't have a whole lot of um a big footprint, so you build tall instead of building
You
wide.
go up. You go up. Yeah, you go up. Yeah.
Mhm. Plus, with
Okay.
if you have some hurricanes or rising water coming in, it kind of makes it a little bit easier to be higher than.
Yeah,
Um,
as long as they build the buildings very secure, and it does
True.
get blown over in the hurricane. Anyway,
I could
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I could only imagine how construction requirements and permitting and inspection requirements are just probably on a whole different level being in Florida. But I'm in a state with the largest coastline in the United States, which kind of makes sense because of the part of
Mm-hmm.
Florida that juts out and comes back in. So you have the Gulf side of it, and then you have the Atlantic Ocean side.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
and it goes almost all the way down to almost to Cuba too.
this is true,
You
yeah.
know, you got the I can't remember what they're called, the little inlets and islands along there.
And then you have the Keys,
The
yeah,
Keys is
with
what I
the
mean.
coast
Yeah,
around it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's true. And Florida is known for producing 70% of the country's oranges. If you don't have an orange when you're in Florida, then what's the point of even going? Or at least some fresh squeezed orange juice. It
Mhm.
also is known for having um, the most golf courses of any state in the United States. I wonder why. Seems like
Because of
it's like the
all the retired
retirees.
people.
Yeah, it's a retirement destination location. Yeah. And Cape Canaveral is located there in Florida as well.
Cape Canaveral is on the north end of the island that my daughter and her husband live on.
Oh, really? What's the
They
name of
live
the
on the
island they live on? Do you
um,
you could probably tell me if I hadn't have asked.
India Atlantic. Okay,
Hmm.
is this the community they're in, which is on the south end of that island? Cape
Okay.
Canaveral's on the north. They're on the south end. Um, so they've got basically it's an island. So they've got a channel between the mainland. Melbourne is the main city,
Yeah,
and then it's got the channel, and you got the island.
and it's beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah,
If it weren't for hurricanes and alligators, I would live there,
yeah.
no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we've addressed that I'm in Florida. Just a quick little fun fact about Cape Canaveral, though. It's owned by the United States Air Force, and there is a visitor complex located there called the Kennedy Space Center. And SpaceX, Elon Musk's company, launched from there earlier this year. Have you ever traveled to Cape Canaveral?
Yes.
Yes.
I've done a tour there I can't remember how many years ago, where kids are a little smaller, but not small, but there. Sue had a workshop. She was doing her doctorate, and they had a workshop there for people doing studying there in Orlando. Okay. So while she's there, I asked the girls what do they want to do, and said Cape Canaveral. So we went over to Cape Canaveral.
And they enjoyed it too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, they did. Absolutely. It's a fantastic, fascinating place to be.
Did you do the visitor complex and go like walk through and see the history and
Yeah, we did.
highlights? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of neat. I love it. So definitely in Florida, also known as the Sunshine State. And I'm in, I think that my location in Florida is probably not, it says it's like the most visited, maybe it's the most visited state for tourists, but the location that I'm specifically in Florida, I don't think, I think it's a hub for tourism, but I think there are other locations in Florida that are a bigger hub for
Yeah,
tourism. So
sure.
it's made a name for itself, no doubt, but there are other places that have a bigger name, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
Orlando,
Yeah,
big.
Orlando is it's definitely on the map.
You
And
know,
then you have, of
Miami.
course, the Keys, and then you have Destin, those
Yeah,
have definitely made some names for themselves, no doubt.
Miami and others
Oh,
like that.
yeah, I forgot about Miami. Yeah. So the place that I'm in Florida has a boardwalk that is a must see. There is a lagoon. It's this huge amusement park, water park. I mean, massive, covers acres and acres and acres. It's ginormous. And then there's a place called the Band Shell, and it's on the water. So we know that it's a coastal location. And it almost looks like a castle, but it's kind of an amphitheater, but it's a shell shaped behind
Hmm.
um, where the band plays.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
let's see. Um, this location too, it is one of the most famous beaches. It has a very famous beach. It's known for that. And of course, you can't go without having a Segway tour and kind of messing around outside without walking for miles. But because the sand on this beach is really firm and packed really well, not only are Segway tours allowed, but it's also one of the few beaches that people can drive on as well.
Okay.
And then of course there are piers for fishing. So any guesses about what beach I'm at in
Daytona
Florida?
Beach. Daytona Beach.
Why do you think Daytona?
Daytona Beach used to be where they did land speed records
Land speed records. Oh, on the beach?
on the beach. Yes. When they first started doing
Really?
land speed records, they did it on the beach.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I had no
Plus,
idea. That
plus,
wasn't part of the research that I found. That's really good.
plus the my wife has driven down the beach,
Okay.
and her dad's Mercedes, with the moonroof or whatever, and they're up there screaming. And they drove home, and he just had a fit because of the sand.
The sand all over the
You know, made them
I
go
think
out
it
and
would be
pull
fun
down
on a to do that in a Jeep with the top off
the.
and no doors and you just let it fly.
But I think it's very limited now. They kind of have limited some of the beach driving
Okay.
because of the environment, people tearing up too much of the beach and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
that
Segway
makes
is
sense.
different. It's not as heavy, but some of the people, with the four wheelers, they like to do donuts and things like that in the sand, and that just kind of just started getting too much.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
So
How long ago did your wife let her hair down and take her dad's Mercedes out and hang out the sunroof and
it was
hoop
in
and
the
holler?
80s, late 80s.
Late 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just a
Yeah.
few days ago, not too long ago.
Yeah, they lived in her parents lived in Daytona Beach, I guess about 5 years or something. They lived in the same community as just a minute here. My brain's going to finally get there.
You're fine.
Um, oh, I had it about my head and some. Um, the guy that played Dirty Dancing. No, no, not Dirty Dancing. Uh, John Travolta.
Oh, okay.
it's a fly-in community. They've got airport in the community. Okay, and so since he's a pilot, he had a place there. I'm trying to remember who else. There was somebody else famous in that community too. You know, and she always tried. My mother-in-law tried to say, "Well, let's go to the clubhouse. Let's see if we can see them." You know, type of thing. And didn't bother. You know, we don't care for that. You know, but anyway.
That's kind of fun.
Yep.
Did they?
It says that driving now is only from November 1st through April the 30th, from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah, that's like very limited, and I think it's because the sand.
Yeah, bicycles and pedestrians can go 24 hours a day, apparently all year long.
Okay.
I think the sand is firmer there during that time frame, you know, because it's not as much. Though I don't know, this time of year with all the hurricanes, it might probably not as firm as it has been.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of a turnoff because of the potential of hurricanes. Plus, it's not the summer months where you would want to have foot traffic, you know, on the beach and have tourists come out on the beach. Yeah. That's kind of neat.
Thank you. That was good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And then, of course, you can't have a visit to Daytona without seeing the International Speedway.
That's right.
I feel like that's what brings the majority of people in, and then the beach is a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
You know, there's a number of. I was going to say there's a number of racing museums in Florida.
All throughout Florida, not just Daytona, right?
Not just the NASCAR, they're drag racing. There's just a number of different museums in Florida.
Wow.
Racing museums. So
yeah, that's kind of neat.
Because a lot of times we think, oh, they're going to be in North Carolina and things like that. Well, no, there's a lot in Florida too.
That's kind of cool. Well, there's also the Richard Petty driving experience where you can actually drive a NASCAR around the track too. Don't you know they have some expensive insurance for that? Just letting any Joe off the street drive one of those cars.
And you have to sign waivers.
Oh, don't you know?
That if anything happens, they're not at fault, you know.
And you're going to pay for that expensive piece of equipment. That's funny. So I put this together a few weeks ago. So the Daytona 500 in 2023 is not 115 days away. It's probably closer to 95 days away now. But for the Daytona 500, they have different packages that you can buy for camping on site. They have travel packages for like lodging and stuff. You can pay an additional fee for a tailgating spot. You can also buy or rent noise canceling ear protection. And then of course you can't have any sort of NASCAR racing without the smell of burnt rubber on hot pavement. I just think it has its own unique smell, you know?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a race like this?
I went to the one up here it's in the Dallas area, Alliance, I think.
Okay.
Up in the Dallas.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it anyway.
Speedway.
Yeah. And I've been down to the drag strip down in Ennis probably about 8 times.
Have you? I have never ever been, and every time I think about going, they don't have a race that time.
Well, they have a program for schools.
Okay.
And particularly those students that are in automotive programs or programs related to it, like we had machinists, we had automotive, we also had a machinist program, and it was sponsored by the Army. And so they, you know, give you free tickets to come in, you know, type of thing. You know, the sponsors are the chaperones as well as the students. They have got to sit through a little program, you know, where they have some of the drivers in and things like that, and talk about things like that, and they talk about the future and racing and what's the all different things like that, careers and things like that. And then they give you a pit pass.
Okay.
And so you actually can walk in the pits free. They're free. It's all done, paid by the Army. You can walk in the pits. So you can walk around. You can see all the cars, all the preparation. You can talk to the drivers and the mechanics, all of that.
Nice.
Then you don't get the grandstand with all of the reserved seats. You got to sit in the bleachers in there.
Uh-huh.
But you still get to see the drag races,
And you
type
get
of
a
thing.
unique experience
Oh
before the
yeah,
race.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Super
I
cool.
enjoyed it because, I didn't go my last year I was there because I didn't have students that were in that part of the program, and I wasn't driving the bus. Other years I drove the bus. I didn't drive
Yeah.
at that point, but it was a good day. It was a good day. It was a long day, hot.
And everyone seemed to enjoy it. Did parents go as well? And so parents got
No,
to,
no
it's just
parents
the
went.
teacher and the students.
We had a couple teachers, maybe at least two, maybe three, go and head the students, and we had to keep a kind of a close rein on them. We didn't. Hey, say we had points where we said, okay, we're going to split. You're going to meet back here at a certain time.
Right.
Okay.
And they were old enough to be responsible and trustworthy.
Yeah,
And
most of them, most of them, we
within
had to
reason.
chase down every once in a while.
And you said, get it together, kids.
Yeah. And we stayed until how I say, the top fuel dragsters, which is the big ones, the fast ones. Okay, because that's what the Army runs. So we wanted to see the Army run their dragster.
Okay.
So,
that's a really neat experience. I didn't even know they did that.
Hey, it was a really good experience, really good. So anyway, okay. Daytona, yay.
And I have to tell you a story about this. So I would travel to Daytona because I had a senior living community there that I was helping to support. And whenever I would go, I love the sand and salt water and sunshine. Oh, I love it so much. And so whenever I would go, I didn't want to just get a hotel close to the community. I wanted a hotel close to the community that was on the water. So when I was getting up in the morning, I can just open the door and smell the ocean and get ready. And then whenever I left work that day, I could have dinner on the water, just like grab some food and just sit on the beach and eat my dinner, And I'm by myself. I'm traveling for work. It's not like this big vacation or anything. But if I'm that close to the ocean, I want to enjoy it. So I did. And I found a hotel that was, I usually stay in Marriott hotels. And so I found a hotel there called the Delta Hotel, and it was on the coast. And it had a pool and a restaurant, but it was on the water. And so you could walk out of the restaurant and past the pool and down to the ocean. And so every time and it was this small, it wasn't this luxurious hotel, but it was renovated, I'm sure because it had been damaged in some hurricane not too many years prior. But it was nice and it was clean and it was very, very reasonably priced. And of course, I'm sure it probably helped that I was staying during the week and not on weekends. That made the price a little bit more reasonable. So I would always stay there. And I loved it. I loved that hotel and that location. And I just loved the environment. So one trip I was planning, I would go, I had to go at least once a month to this location. And so I was planning this trip and I'm searching around for decent flights, so I didn't want to pay too much for a flight. Well, I found that it would cost the company less money if I flew out on a Wednesday or Thursday, and I flew back on a Sunday instead of a Friday.
Okay.
I thought, well, I'll be a good steward of the company's money and I'll just fly back on Sunday instead. And then I'll just use some of my hotel points and stay Friday night and Saturday night. And I'll force myself to take a day of rest on the beach.
Okay.
So I did. And let me tell you what, Saturday morning, I got up and I went down to the beach. And I got me a glass of water and a cup of coffee. And I kicked back with my little headphones in and a book. And I intentionally took my watch off because I didn't want any messages. I didn't want any responsibility of time. So I just kicked back on a lounge chair and I watched the sun come up. And then I kind of wake up from my nap and stretch a little bit. And I think, you know what? I think I'm going to go get a mimosa. So I did. And so I had the little restaurant guy working at the restaurant bring me a mimosa. I'd sit back and I'd read a book and I'd drink my little mimosa, and then I'll kind of take a dip in the hot tub, and then I'll come back to the chair and kick back and take a snooze and wake up. I think I'm going to eat some dinner. I think I want French fries. So I had some French fries for lunch, and then I'd kick back and I'd take a nap, and then I'd kind of get hot and I'd roll over on my belly instead of getting a suntan on just my face. And I'd wake up and I'd be hot. I'd take a dip in the water and come back. And I was just relaxing all stinking day long. And I had no concept of time. And that was a mistake. Because the next thing I know, the sun starts going down. And I thought, I am getting kind of hungry. And wow, the sun's already going down. So I got up and I got my towel and my phone and my book and everything, and I just walked on inside, and I'm just going to get cleaned up and just go down to the restaurant and have dinner. No problem. And I go back into my hotel room and I see my reflection in the mirror, and I look like a stinking lobster. Yes. My complexion, I don't ever really burn. I mean, I've got kind of red and a little tender occasionally, but I was surprised at how red I got. And I thought, wow, this is going to hurt later, and I've never really experienced that before. I just know other people have shared with me what their experience is with big sunburns. And my skin kind of flaked a little bit. I didn't peel, but it was dry and it kind of flaked. But after about a day or two of it being red, I was as brown could be. Yeah. I had so many people say, Heather, have you been in a tanning bed? And I said, no, I just fell asleep on the beach. And I still, that was years ago, and I still to this day dream about just going and having a day of rest on the beach. But this time I'll bring sunscreen.
That's kind of like my daughter and granddaughters who have just a little bit of Indian. They'll do that because they just look like they're brown all the time. Because they have a pool in their house, but they love to go to the beach. And I don't think they might have sunburned a few times, but everything they just turn darker and darker and darker.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way. Yeah. It's a nice problem to have.
Yep.
So that's it, my friends. My Heather is I went to Daytona.